coming to you, kiddos. It's your old buddy, Grandpa Peter Coyote, coming to you once again from Crestone, Colorado, here on planet Earth. Somewhere, a little pinpoint in the map of reality. Just a tiny little place with a tiny little dot where a few tiny little people live, myself included. Kind of a magical and mystical place in its own right, yet confusing as heck and filled with anger and corruption just like everywhere else. But the vibe's higher here, just because we're at higher altitude and closer to the angels, therefore. I live at about 8,500 feet. And boy, you know, even though I've lived at these altitudes before, it took some real adjustment to get into it. And I'm still a little short of breath sometimes when I go hiking and so forth. It's just a part of letting your body acclimate. And as you get a little older, it's a little slower in acclimation. You know what I mean? So I give it a little energy, a little life, a little time. And it all comes back to me. And then I'm able to live at a high altitude and enjoy myself. And actually go hike up a mountain or two. Well, that day's coming soon. But it's the same with life. Since we were tiny babies, we've had to adjust to a different altitude, a different elevation than what we're used to living in. And we've given and given plenty to live as we do. And in fact, we've given away ourselves. And we've adopted a lion illusion as our way of being. It starts with a little baby, filled with love, yet powerless, and quite often abused. I mean, the things that we take as normal in this world really aren't. Most are abuse of one sort or another. Take the practice of circumcision, for example. Something everybody considers kind of normal. But it's sheer torture. And it begins a sexual trauma in the male child that is without end, that lasts his whole lifetime and carries him right into his grave and returns him back to his Mother Earth. But see, there's reasons why we live like this, why we allow such shocking, mean, and they are frickin' mean, things to happen to little babies. Things that we take as normal practices. Throwing silver in their eyes, scrubbing them down to get the blood off of them, and things like that. Just think. Now, in some tribal cultures, babies are treated with respect and welcomed into this world with love. But in the Western cultures, for the most part, we don't do this. And those that have moved beyond the practices of cruelty with their babies have made a huge leap in the improvement of human behavior, simply by not allowing as many traumas for their children as what you had in your own childhood. It's a beautiful and blessed thing. Those that are conscious enough to see, to know, to just be plain uncomfortable with what goes on here, what's accepted as normal practice. You got to think about the medical profession. This Western medicine, as we call it, doctors and nurses in white coats and shit, you know, candy stripe ladies, all this kind of stuff, you know. You got to think about it and compare it like to medieval torture, because that's essentially what it is. The practice of medicine, as we know it, is completely unnecessary in this reality. It is a form of torture we've devised for ourselves to test our capacities for endurance. And we've had to do this. Long, long time ago, we made a spiritual agreement as a group, humanity, all of us, because we're one, to come in and accept an age of darkness that would go on for 25,000 years or more. And those are long, grueling years. But we made this choice. We had to work ourselves into it gradually. That's what history's all about. Working ourselves into the age of darkness. Then allowing ourselves to live through it so that we can come out the other side and rescue our brothers and sisters who had gone so far into the darkness they could see no light. And in fact, when they did, they hated it. Now you're familiar with those feelings because you know what hate feels like. And it can be an all-consuming thing. You know, some of those little traumas we talk about that start in your childhood can lead to an anger that ultimately carries you through your life in a false sort of way and kills you in the end. It can start with something as simple as a circumcision, a painful, mean, frickin' thing to do to a baby child. You know, and everybody thinks it's normal. We got to do this for sanitation. Bullshit. It started with some crappy old god way back when telling the people this is how you're going to make your kids look different than everybody else's. You're going to cut off the foreskins. Well, somehow or another that translated into everybody doing it in the Western culture, desensitizing men on top of it all, makes sex into something that's just like a numb little practice that means little, if anything, instead of the monumental moment of sharing that it's meant to be. Goodness. See, since we were little kids, we accept it. It starts with all those little traumas right there in the delivery room. And goes from there. And causes you to put yourself, your glowing, loving self, away. And conform to standards in this world that just aren't right for you. And you know it. This is why kids are unhappy and miserable. No matter how much love we give them. And why they throw crying fits in Walmart all the time. Babies are unhappy. They're being corrupted by the world around them. Forced to compelled into a standard of existence that isn't natural. That isn't loving. That contains elements of love. Little bits. Poquito. But makes you deny the reality of love within yourself and not trust yourself any longer. And you spend the rest of your life trying to figure this out. How you got so destabilized as a tiny child. And it's in little traumas, little moments where you have to conform to a standard. Whether it's allowing them to scrub your little body with a steel brush or whatever. This is right, this is wrong, this is legal, this is not, and so on. Morals. Insane morals. Which divide us even further from ourselves and teach us not to trust ourselves even more. Which gives rise to needs and wants that aren't normal. They're perverted, diverted. Deviancy comes from such places. And the inability to connect with another human being in a real and loving way. Whether it's a handshake, a hug, or just the acknowledgement of their beating heart. Same as in you. It's difficult to be real here. Because we're taught by these practices throughout this age of darkness to become something other than what we are and to live in lies, 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 lies until we're blue in the face. Well, not quite blue yet, but we're getting there. Lies and illusions. But when you consider that this is a noble effort that's meant to bring back those who created lies to truth. Those who have lived in lies for generations without end. to bring their spirits home to their very own heart, which is the heart in all of us. That's the oneness thing. It's in the heart. And that's what we've been, all of us, so separated and divided from. You look at those unruly children in Walmart that are having a fit because they can't have that little toy they wanted right now. And you see the mannerisms of every adult that's ever created and lived in these Western cultures. Those behaviors continue. They get supplanted by, these little things we do to get along with one another. We're taught to give, to compromise ourselves in order to get along with other people, to appear as a pleasant person, or an unpleasant one, as the case may be. But we're not given much of a chance at a real life. Because by the time we're 3 to 5 years old, we've become nothing but a phony little dickhead. Every God blessed one of us, male and female alike. And then we're taught all these differences between the male and female, to the point where the male feels denied the female feels denied the male, and therefore spends a lot of time trying to get it back together again, and creates a whole bunch of history in the process, working on needs that are seldom fulfilled because we lack the capacity to do so, because we've so compromised ourselves by conforming to the standards of the universe around us, or the apparent universe around us, because that's what it is, apparent. It's not the reality. And here's how we're finding out, moments of truth are coming this week that will change every element in your life, that will reveal the truths, the very truths that I'm speaking of. When we finally realize that we're just one tiny little corner of the universe, yet a very significant one, but when we realize that, when we're confronted by the truth that this world, the universe we see around us, is an essential illusion, a game that we created a long time ago for ourselves to play in, to learn and grow, this throws it back on us. When the world around us is filled with lies and we start to see the truth. When something like disclosure happens, it ain't going to happen straight up, but it's happening. You can't expect the government types to do it. They're under the control of rogue elements within the organization themselves, which won't let loose, and everybody's afraid of dying, and that's the threat, mainly. Dying or having your life ruined one way or another. It's the same as death, either way. But the problem is that all of our secret space programs and so forth, and NASA, are you listening, have gotten so big that there's too many people involved. The secrecy is impossible to maintain any longer, and they must reveal the truth. And many people are feeling like committing suicide about right now that have been some of the biggest liars and some of the biggest renegades in this world. But it ain't really your fault, guys, girls. Just let it go. You played a role, same as everybody else, and you can't be held accountable for it any more than they can. If one's guilty, everybody's guilty. This is the thing we have to get past, this idea of guilt. This idea that we've done something wrong, ever. It doesn't mean you give license to all the evil in the world, hell no. But it means you acknowledge your experience in it and gain the value out of it and let it go. You don't be that anymore, man. It's real easy. There's essential peace in that. And you can have it right here in yourself. This is how this old man gets by in this world. Because I have that essential peace. That one little speck inside of myself that knows everything is okay. Everything is all right. Now, it took me years and years to acquire that, to remember that, to bring it back inside of myself. It won't take you but 20 minutes. But there's going to be confusion and doubt. Because everything you've ever lived, all of the morals, all of the laws, all of the behaviors, even such simple and basic things as eating, are being challenged now by the revelation of truth. And if you can take the uncomfortable state of realizing you've been wrong all along, maybe you realize how right you are. And you'll be able to live with yourself in a way that you never could before. Doesn't mean you won't have difficulties and problems in this mind. It means they'll be lessened greatly because you'll have greater understanding of them and you'll be able to move through them more quickly. And you won't be hating yourself for extending trust where trust isn't deserved, or whatever the thing is that you've done that makes you feel so bad in this world and makes you want to point your fingers at somebody else and blame them sons of bitches for being as bad as they are. When in truth, in reality, we create the bastards. Just to fulfill the test within ourselves. So people, it's time to lighten up, vibe right. Be ready for major revelations of truth on every level in your life. This is the week that begins it. April 29, I think it is, 2013. May Day is going to be a hell of a day. We'll remember it for a long time. There's a lot of stuff coming, babies. And you know, don't hold me to precise exact days, but it's happening. Because you can never say. Somebody says December 21st, 2012. Everybody thought the world was going to come to an end. Well, of course it didn't. Because you can't predict days. Time's too inflexible. Or too flexible. I mean, not inflexible. Too flexible. It varies greatly. You don't see it when you're going through your routine because you're programmed to do it by the hour, by the day, by the minute. We're always programmed to hurry, hurry, hurry. We're always running a little bit behind. I wonder why that is. Because that keeps you off balance, babies. That's the whole invention of time. Time is not a calendar and a clock. It's not even the sun rising and setting. It's not that either. Time is the experience that we've chosen to live in. And even though it seems like it's got a set thing to it, a fixed thing to it, sun comes up at 7:02 a.m., goes down at 6:25 p.m., whatever. It's not like that, people. There's another part of the truth. It's a little more difficult to understand when this old man's rapping about it here. But when you're living it, when you're seeing it, and with the revelation of disclosure comes the revelation of time. Its true reality. The flexible nature of time. What it truthfully is. And when we see the end of time, well, guess what? We see the end of death within it. And when we see the end of death, that means there's no longer anything to fear. Because if death is the ultimate tragedy, then life is the ultimate fulfillment of that tragedy, which lets it go. Lets the tragic side go. Because you see beyond the concept that we've been forced to live in. Fucking slaves. Sorry, but that's the way we are. Each and every one of us have been enslaved. And this is how the slavery has been promulgated. And time is one of the elements most basic in it. The calendar, the clock. These things are your enemy. Because each one is ticking off the moments until you die. That's why you're in such a big frickin' hurry. Got to get there before you die. Everybody knows that. Everybody feels that. That's the anxiousness. That's the tension you're feeling now. And got to get there means got to reveal the truth. Got to be in the truth. Because I ain't going to have no peace till I do. That's what your insides are telling you. Well, Grandpa, grandfather, because that's what I is. You made me that way. And I appreciate it. Grandfather tells you now. Time to let it all go. Give up the drama. Give up the time. Give up the illusion. Now, of course, we got help. It ain't just a matter of, oh boy, there it is. Bing. Yeah, well, it could happen that way, but we got help because we got stubbornness. Humans are made, not meant to, but are made to stay in fixed positions, to establish places for themselves. And this is part of living in the lie, because there's so much fear here. Fear that you're going to be wrong. Fear you're going to be taken advantage of. Well, you got to be streetwise, baby. No. You got to be innocent. Innocent enough to see the truth. That's the only saving grace. And you'll find the more honest you become, the more widespread you'll see the lies, and the more you'll see through them, the more truthful you become. It's real easy. More peaceful. It's real easy. Getting through the emotional side of it because of our stubbornness, because we tend to, this is right, and I'm going to stay with that, and that's the way it is. You know, we do too much of that. We're stubborn motherfuckers. We've got to get off of that shit. Ride a little different pony, one that flows smooth and takes you right up the mountain, nice and easy, sure-footed as all get out. You don't have to worry about it ever making a misstep. And that horse, that little reliable pony, is truth. And it's inside of you, and it's inside of me. And it's about to be revealed. And we're given this little bit of extra help. Something that comes from afar. But these are brothers and sisters that have lived an equally challenging existence, though not the same as what we have. We're the gritners and getting downers. We're the ones that, hunker down and go for it. And they're out there in assistance to us. But there's much, much, much that will be revealed to you this week for those that are listening and watching. But it affects everyone. This is more than worldwide. This is ground shaking. This is shaking the very foundations of the universe as we know it. The very foundations of every belief, want, need, and desire that we've ever had, or ever will have, because they ain't going to last much longer. It's truth. It's divine intervention. It's the God and the Christ and the Buddha, the Muhammad inside of all of us, coming forward to reveal its presence. That is truth. And as it reveals its presence in you, it reveals its presence in all that lives. And you begin to appreciate the divine nature of the way of life. And in that divine you find the greatest respect for every bit of life that ever lives, including yourself. And you will no longer allow yourself to be put down or abused in any way. No need for that. The necessity for the trial is over when you begin to realize this secret ancient truth, which has always been there in our faces. We just weren't ready to face it. We had to go through this long cycle. Yet, to tell you the truth, it's been like 25 minutes. It seems like several million years. It's 25 minutes. It's grueling when you're here in it. But when you're living in the heart, it's seen truthfully. And the experience was tolerable based on that alone. And we could allow it to get as out of hand as it has here, to the point where we could destroy all existence within this little game we're playing. Just so we'd know it, the experience of it, the depth, the darkness of being alone, of living in the biggest illusion that ever was created. And that's it, the alone thing. No one is ever alone. We're all interconnected, attached to one another. Everyone is living everyone else's life inevitably. We feel it. We are it. Each person acts out a certain aspect of our true personality of the heart which is in all of us. It's one being, one person who is never alone. I'll leave you to figure it out. But I'm just here warning you. Truthful ways are coming, babies. Truthful days are here. And if you've been one of those who's been the big exaggerator and liar, I would suggest you head for the hills right now. Because there may be some misunderstandings as this process goes through, and I wouldn't want to see your humble little hearts get wounded or injured any further than they have already. And if you head off into the mountains or into the wilderness, you might find that peace you're looking for, and you'll damn sure avoid a lot of trouble for yourself. So yeah, I'm telling you, people in government positions and corporation positions that have lied, cheated, and stealed from the people, get your asses out of town. Because you're not welcome here right now. We'll bring you back, and we'll love you silly. But get your asses out of town. I don't want no harm coming to you. I don't want the people to arise. This is what the biggest excuse they've used to hide all of the technology, all of the reality that they know about, those in government and so forth, and corporations. That's the biggest excuse they use. The people will panic. Well, sure as hell they would. Those guys panic. Why wouldn't the people? But it's a peaceful thing. You get through the confusion. When you see every element, everything that we've accepted as normal, even something as basic as wiping your butt, everything challenged and changed. When you see that, it's going to take you for a bit of a ride. You're going to feel completely out of yourself at first. But the very shock of going out of yourself brings you back into yourself and grounds you that much more firmly into your heart. Things don't work any longer the way they used to do. What would used to kill you probably will make you better now. That's just the way things are happening. You'll find we've lived in a world of opposites. That most of what we've adapted here has been opposite of truth. Not all, thank God. We have our tender moments. We have our beautiful ways of being. And this is what causes the endurance to arise. And this is how we manage to last 60, 80, 90, 100 years, and get through that much of it. Because we do have our tender moments. Our moments of expansion, our moments of awakening. And that gave us the strength. And we built it this way. You and I and everyone else here, we built it this way. We built those sweet moments in so that we could make it through and get back to the light, get back to the heart, return to that which we are. Divine presence is revealing itself in you right now. And it's going to continue to do so. Feel the softness of it. Feel the sweetness of it. In this way you can accept it. It's the sweet moment that lasts forever. The one that never goes away. It's not grasping at straws of light in the darkness any longer, but sharing the greatest light you could ever imagine. Being filled with wonder and the fulfillment of all hope, all the dreams of the generations come into being now. Yeah, you're going to have to let go of a lot of horse shit and bullshit that you've accepted. But remember, even though it draws flies and stinks, that stuff helps grow food. When it composts and breaks down, it's awesome stuff. It returns to the soil her natural ingredients. And it helps her grow beautiful things. Beneficial things. So remember that all the bullshit, all the horse shit, all the freaking lies we've been fed, and there are many, are the fertile ground from which new life arises. Age of peace is the age of truth. Truth has its own justice and doesn't need courts or laws to enforce it. Talk about enlightened anarchy. This is what I've been talking about, dreaming about, living for all of my life. And I know you have too. Maybe not in the same way. And maybe not with such passion. But there it is inside of you too. Papa loves you. He's an old hound dog sniffing it out, babies. And he don't let up. He never lets go the trail. Because I know y'all are going there with me, and we're all going to be happy in it together. Fucking A, that's the way it should be. Hey, don't forget, Gathering of the Vibe Tribe, June 14, 15, 16, 2013 here in Crestone, Colorado. Get your little bodies over here. Of course you will anyway, because by then the truth will be kicked in and blah, blah, blah. I love you guys. Genuinely, completely. Don't mean I appreciate what you do, particularly, but many of you I do. Many of you I don't. I can still love you. I can still be truthful with you. And that's what I is. I'm a mouthpiece, a vocal person. Somebody here to help cue up the memories in you that brings forward the truth right from your very own heart. You don't need to hear it or see it from anybody else. Though that helps, because that gives you more confidence in what you feel inside. And you can take a little firmer hold on that truthful part of yourself. Babies, it's been a hell of a ride. This is why I wear a cowboy hat still, even though I'm not herding cows or riding horses nowadays. It's a frickin' rodeo. It's been a ride, man. And we're all cowboys and cowgirls, and we've all endured it. And we've made our 7 seconds. And sometimes deplaning from that old bull or that bucking bronco after that 7 seconds cannot be the easiest thing in the world. But we've got some real gifted angels here to help us along the way. When you see their arms reaching toward you, reach right back. Accept the embrace. And let them carry you off the back of this bucking bull, this bucking bronco. And bring you home for an eternity of love, peace, harmony. Now, we get to the existential side, which really, despite all of the movement toward that, has never been experienced here, because we lived in a world created of life. Now we truly can become the existential. Ride 'em, cowgirls, cowboys. Rock and roll, conceive you, saying, I love you.